Welcome to Latte with a Lawyer, a podcast dedicated to bringing you the stories of some of America's most successful lawyers, figuring out what makes them tick, how they creatively solve problems, and how others aspiring to be them can follow in their footsteps.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Latte with a Lawyer. I'm your host, Jonathan Brickman, and this morning we have with us Bernard Williams, and he's the founder of his firm, Company Counsel. And where are you located? You're in Philly?
Yeah, Bell Kenwood. It's right outside of Philadelphia.
Oh, good. Very good. Anyway, welcome to the show. How are you this morning?
Doing really well, thank you. Good morning. How are you?
Very good. Excellent. Just to get started here, Latte with a Lawyer, what's your morning beverage of choice to get going?
So I've got about 60 ounces of Verona from Starbucks, made in my home coffee machine. Probably a lot bolder than most people would want, but it's what I need to get me going in the morning.
All right, good. Good stuff. Yeah, I thought you were going to say you had 60 ounces of water. I was reading, there was a study that just came out that said, people live longer, they're healthier, they have less, heart disease if they drink a lot of water. So I thought you were going to tell me
Well,
water.
I do have water too, but you'll notice that the water glass is a lot smaller than the coffee.
Yeah, I don't know how people do it. I mean, the amount that they suggest for like a guy is like an ungodly amount, like 13 cups. I mean, you realize how much water that is?
Well, I thought it was 8 cups, and even 8 cups is a
For
lot.
a woman, I think it's 8, and for a guy, it's like, I mean, it's a lot of water. I know I don't hit that level for sure.
Well, I try to count all liquids as water, and I'm not sure you're really supposed to do that, but that's the only way that I can get up to my 13.
There you go. Anyway, all right. So listen, let's talk about your law practice. What kind of law you practice?
Well, Company Counsel is a small business law firm, and what we do is we work with entrepreneurs and small companies that are interested in growing and scaling. We keep those companies in growth mode and out of trouble mode. So out of court, out of lawsuits, other types of conflicts that can derail their growth, and in growth mode where they're building and scaling and moving closer to the kind of impact and profitability and success that they want to have.
Okay. So general counsel I mean, that's kind of what the name applies, that you're like the sort of outsourced general counsel. Is that a fair way to say it?
We use the term fractional general counsel.
Okay.
Yeah, and a lot of people are familiar with the role of general counsel in a large corporation,
Yes.
and IBM or a Comcast or something like that. What we try to do is provide the same type of service, not just legal and not just tactical, but also strategic, to small companies and to entrepreneurs where it doesn't really make sense for them to have an in-house counsel that provides those services, but they still need the support of somebody with a legal perspective and with legal background and resources to help them to make the right decisions.
Okay. So give me like your day in the life. I mean, what are typical issues that you would work on for these firms?
Well, when it comes to growth, a lot of issues that come up have to do with growing the team. Uh, what typically happens is that the company will be founded by maybe one person or a handful of people, and as they grow, they find that that small leadership team just can't do everything. They need to either outsource or hire employees, and they need to actually build a team as they grow,
Yep.
in order to handle all the things that they need to delegate. And when that comes in, when they're at that stage, that's where it can really help, because there's a lot of preliminary decisions that they'll have to make. Do we want employees? Do we want independent contractors? Do we want to outsource? Do we want to enter into a joint venture or strategic partnership where another company provides these services instead of us having to actually hire and manage somebody? So I can help someone and I can help a company navigate all those questions. And then whatever option makes the most sense for them, help to actually implement that option. So if they decide, the right way to go is with employees, it's with part-time employees. We can help them to prepare an employee handbook, put in the right types of policies, prepare the employment documents, and do all the kinds of things that help that company to make sure that what they have in mind
Yeah.
when they decide they want to actually hire employees is what they ultimately get.
So it sounds much more like an in-house, like sort of almost HR advisory as opposed to like doing real like legal litigation, contract
Well,
disputes, things like, are you involved with those kind of things too?
so remember what I said is that we keep people in growth mode or companies in growth mode and out of
Yep.
trouble mode, right? So trouble mode refers to litigation, it refers to disputes and
Sure.
conflict. And invariably in business that happens. There's a lot that I can do to keep people, there's a lot that I can do to avoid that, a lot that I can do to clarify expectations and to set up scenarios that make it less likely that my clients face legal trouble or face trouble at all. But again, invariably, there's got to be a lawsuit, there's got to be a dispute, there's got to be some sort of a conflict that they're going to have to resolve, and we certainly can help with that as well.
Okay.
My background actually is that the first say 9 years of my legal practice out of law school, I was actually a commercial litigator. So I still kind of view the world through the lens of litigation, and I think that actually provides a value and a benefit to my clients because I can anticipate what the problems are going to be or what they're likely to be and help them to avoid them. But then if they actually do find themselves in a dispute, we know how to get them out of it, how to resolve and how to win cases.
Okay. Okay. That's an interesting way to put it. So you've been in the courtroom before, you've litigated cases before.
Yeah, about 9 years of
It
commercial
sounds like
litigation.
you don't, that's not really a cup of tea. You seem like, you'd rather sort of you'd be, you're looking for win-wins as opposed to litigation. You want to keep people on the, out of the trouble mode, as you put it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Litigation's how I started my career. I got pretty good at it, and I enjoyed the intellectual aspect of it, the strategy of it, and the tactics, and all the kind of intellectual parts of litigation. But what I hate about litigation is that it's a distraction, and it drains resources, and it prevents entrepreneurs from having the kind of impact that they want. Nobody
Right.
goes into business because they want to fight. Nobody goes into business because they want to be in court.
Right.
So if I can help people to stay out of court and to focus all their time and energy and resources on the business and on the impact that they want to make, as you say, I think that's more of a win-win.
Got it. Got it. So how did you pick this niche? How did you get into this line of law? How'd you get it here?
Well, I started out as a litigator, mostly because that was what I was most familiar with coming out of law school. There were very few, I didn't have any lawyers in the family, I didn't know any lawyers,
Okay.
and there are very few TV shows about corporate practices. So litigation was kind of what I had in my mind when I entered my career. And that's what I did for the first 8 or 9 years of my career in a big law setting, both in New York and Philadelphia. And what I found was that although I was doing well, I felt like my mindset was that I was playing to not lose as opposed to playing to win.
Mm.
And I wanted to play to win. So I left the law practice. I thought I was leaving behind law altogether. And I started a business in 2008. And if you remember 2008, that's when the recession hit,
Oh yeah.
and it was just a really, really difficult time to start a brand new business in a new
Yep.
industry. But that's what I did, and not surprisingly, the results were not spectacular. So I wound up having to close that business after a few years. But the silver lining was that for those 4 or 5 years, I was an entrepreneur for the first time,
Okay.
and I was standing in the shoes of a small business owner, and I knew what it was like to have to worry about making payroll, and to have to deal with a landlord, and to have to hire employees, and have to do all the things that small business owners are dealing with on a day-to-day basis. And that's when I came to the realization that there really was a gap in the market for people who are providing services and resources to small companies. I
Oh,
was seeing that
interesting.
these small companies would either they'd go to Facebook to get their legal questions answered. Or this wide gap where people would either go to their friends and family, even if they weren't attorneys, and even if they didn't necessarily know any better than they did,
Mm.
or on the opposite side of the spectrum, they might go to a very expensive, big law firm that's charging several $100s an hour. That's really not the right model, the right type of practice, the
Yeah.
right type of fit for the small companies. But for anybody that had needs to kind of fit in between those two extremes, they didn't really have anywhere to go. So when I realized that, that's when I found a company counsel, and ever
Interesting.
since we've been trying to fill that void.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Now I get the path and how you got there. So I mean, how do you engage? Is it on a retainer basis? Is it based on like situational that somebody brings you in?
So because we are geared towards small businesses, we try
Yeah.
to meet people where they are, and there are various services depending on what stage of growth the company is in. So for example, if someone is just starting out and want to make sure they're getting off on the right foot, there are things we can do to form their company and to kind of set them up in the right direction until they need us again. What we prefer, however, is the companies that are a little bit further along. They've passed that initial startup phase, and now they want to grow and they want to think about scaling and building up the company. And for those companies, that's where the fractional general counsel model comes in. And we don't use the word retainer because that means something different in technical legal parlance, as I'm sure you
Okay.
appreciate. But what we do is we will charge flat fees by the month or by the quarter, so that people know exactly what to expect going into the month or into the quarter. They know how to plan ahead. They can fit it onto their budgets, and there are no surprises or sticker shocks
Yeah.
at the end of the month.
Interesting. So what would you say, like, where do people get stuck in these small businesses? What are the recurring issues that you see?
Uh, there are a lot of them. I think that, and one of them, quite frankly, has to do with the role of counsel. I think that oftentimes people are conditioned to not want to work with attorneys. They fear being talked down to. They fear working with people who don't understand their business, who don't care to understand their business. They fear the hourly billable model that results in being billed in 6 minute increments and being billed for receiving, for answering voicemails and sending quick emails. So I think because of that, um, I think because people are conditioned to think that way, there's a real reluctance to getting attorneys involved.
Yeah.
And oftentimes, as a result, they'll go to Facebook to get their legal advice, or they'll wing it, or they will bury their head in the sand, or not ask the right questions. And invariably, what happens is that they're not prepared. They're not, they haven't put the right things in place to address the problems or to avoid the potential disaster. And as a result of that, they wind up getting in even bigger trouble. Um, what I wish would happen more often is that people would ask their attorneys, um, "Hey, what happens if earlier in the process?" And I wish people would involve their counsel, and not just their attorneys, but their CPA and any other consultants or advisors that they rely on. I wish they would be involved earlier in the process to help them to be more proactive and help them to make better decisions so that they didn't wind up in trouble mode and so that they didn't wind up spending all their money on litigation fees and expenses. So I think the earlier legal is involved in the process, the better. And the mistake that I see is that people wait way too long to get legal involved.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. So let's sort of let's roll it back a little bit. I mean, how did you even make the decision to go to law school? Like, tell me about that, like how you even got started there.
Wow, that takes me that really takes me back. Yeah, it's funny when I went to law school, when I applied to law school, it was during a time when the internet was brand new and there was a lot going on in the political world, and it felt like a real time of change. And I knew that I wanted to be a part of that change and that I wanted to innovate and make a difference, but I am not sure that I could have articulated very much beyond those sentiments. What I liked about the practice of law was I liked that I could help people. I liked that I could use my communication skills, written and verbal. Uh, I um, I liked the idea of being an attorney. I liked the idea of the challenge. I like the putting puzzles together and solving problems and that kind of thing. And it was either that or I either wanted to be a teacher or a lawyer. And I wound up taking the legal route.
Oh, I see that.
Um,
Yeah. No, I saw in your background that it looks like you got involved with education at some point too, right?
that's right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it turns out that I've always been a teacher. I just um, do it in different
Yeah. You seem
in
very
different ways.
you seem
Certainly part of
professorial.
that.
You have a
Yeah, well,
professorial presence about you.
well, I take that as a compliment. I
Yeah,
hope
yeah,
that's
yeah.
how you meant
Yeah, yeah.
it.
I mean, you
Thank
have a good, nice demeanor, like calm, and it looks like you're a good teacher. I can see that.
thank you, thank you. I appreciate it. I
Yeah,
try
yeah.
to be.
Where are you from? Where'd you grow up in? Like, were there any influences at all that sort of guide you down the path of like professional services?
Uh, so I was born in New Orleans, Louisiana.
Oh, okay.
So culturally, a lot of my culinary tastes and personality probably was formed based in New Orleans. But I mostly grew up in Philadelphia.
Okay.
Um, uh, so that's another really important influence in my life. Philadelphia sports fan. Um, you know, not so. Although I'm not a native of Philadelphia, I've been kind of an adopted son.
Yeah.
For the past several decades, really since high school, in the Philadelphia area. Um, and as I said earlier, I didn't know any lawyers growing up. The professionals that made the biggest impact on my life were teachers. And when I think about, outside of my family, when I think about the adults who I looked up to, and who I admired and who inspired me, uh, they were all teachers that I had at some point or another, or adult volunteers in educational programs. So I've always really been a believer in education for that reason.
Yeah.
And even what I'm doing now, I think educating clients, educating the public is an important part of what my role is.
Got it. Interesting. Good. I see you got family pictures behind you. And anyone in your family thinking about law school? I don't know if you're at that stage, but what would you tell your kids?
Uh, well, So we're a pretty small nuclear family. It's
Okay.
my wife and my son and me.
All right.
My wife is an attorney. She's a
Oh,
partner at a
there you
large
go.
law firm in the city. And my son, who's 14, isn't quite sure what his career path will be at this point. But the one thing I think he's decided for sure is that he will not be an attorney.
Will not be
Uh,
an attorney. Well, two
yeah,
parents, I get it. Yeah.
right. Yeah, and I don't blame them. My parents were both in math and science, and I decided that I want to go as far away from math and science as possible. So I think that's just the natural cycle of things.
Very good. I get
I'm a
it.
partner, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Interesting. Um, so what would your advice be if your son is not going to become an attorney? What would you tell somebody thinking about law school? What would your advice be?
It's a great question. And I talk to young people all the time who are thinking about going to law school or
Yeah.
who are in law school. Um, I think it's important to know what your why is, to know what the reason that you're doing is. Because I think the practice of law is a lot different from what people expect it to be. And I think the law school experience also is different from what many anticipate. And I think there will be times um, when you'll feel challenged and when you'll wonder whether or not you made the right decision and whether or not maybe it's time to pivot or maybe it's time to regroup or do something different. And I think remembering what your why is during those times will help you to make better decisions. That's not to say that practicing law necessarily is the right path for everybody. But I think if you at least keep in mind what your why is and keep going back to that, then I think that you make a decision that's more genuine and truer to yourself.
Yeah, it's interesting. I hear that a lot, like the whole, like sort of the gap between like law school and like practicing law. That
Mhm.
transition, right? There's a gap there. I mean, so you talk about gaps between like, that you're filling. I mean, I hear that a lot is when I talk to you guys, and how do you close that gap so it's it is a more practical and it's an easier, seamless transition into the real world.
I think clinics are helpful. I think internships are really helpful.
Okay.
The other thing that I wish I had known when I was a law student is I wish I had understood the importance of networking and being out in the community. As a law student, I knew a lot of people in my law school community. I was very active within my law school community,
Yeah.
but I very rarely went beyond the boundaries of my law school to get involved in things in the greater community. I didn't really know anybody who I didn't directly work with or who wasn't in my who didn't attend my school.
Yeah.
I didn't really have those interactions. So I think the more that people in law school can get out into the world beyond the borders of their actual law school campus, I think that helps as well to ease that transition.
Got it. Okay, good. So what are the plans for your law firm? You want to grow? I mean, what are your ambitions?
Yeah, we do want to grow, and I don't. Well, we don't want to become big law. Uh, there's nothing wrong with big law. That's just not me.
Sure.
I just I like kind of I like being part of a small business. I like kind of being the underdog. So I think we'll always stay relatively small. We have 6 attorneys right now,
Okay.
and I'm sure that we'll grow beyond that number. But I do like the feeling of being a small and mighty diverse team.
Excellent.
And yeah, so I'd like to um, continue with that being the model.
Excellent. Good. Um, and then finally, just curious, technology. I know COVID's changed everything. Besides Zoom, I mean, are you leveraging technology for the firm? And how do you do that?
Yes, technology has been really important for us. We are we've always been an all remote firm. So we do have an office space that we use in Ballackinwood. And so that's a place that we can meet in person if we need to. But the
Yep.
reality is that we've been remote from day one.
Oh, okay.
And that means not only just using things like Zoom and Teams and things like that to conduct
Yep.
virtual meetings, but it's also using things like OneDrive and Microsoft Teams for document sharing and for chatting and messaging. Um, we really utilize technology to try to create that office environment that we miss out on because we're all in our own respective spaces. The other thing is that we'll use automation in some of our processes. So there's software that we can use to not just to do legal research, which I'm sure most attorneys use, but there's also software that we're using to review contracts and find key terms and red flags and identify issues that makes it easier and more efficient for us as attorneys to then go back through and do the red line or do the markup. So there are other places in our business development efforts where we may use automation or technology to speed up the process and to make things more efficient, both for ourselves and for our clients. Yeah, we're always looking at ways to innovate, to get more efficient, and to provide more consistent, faster results for our clients.
Oh, good. So you're not afraid of it. You're embracing it and you're leveraging it. Good.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Good, good, good. All right, excellent. Well, listen, final words that you want to leave about your firm and best way to connect with you if they want to learn more.
Sure. So the best way to connect is probably through the internet. You can shoot me an email
Okay.
at bwilliams@companycounsel.law or online at www.companycounsel.law. If you're someone who prefers the phone, our phone number is 484-325-5660. And typically we'll start out just having a free consultation, getting to know each other. We want to learn more about your business, what your needs are, what your goals are, and we'll have a conversation about how we potentially can help, see if there's a fit, and see what we can potentially do to assist.
Excellent. Good. Well, listen, it's been a pleasure for everybody. Again, Bernard Williams, and this is a law firm, Company Counsel, helps small business grow and provide counsel. And this is sponsored by EmotionTrac, which is a legal tech platform, and we help litigators prepare for cases, mediation and trials with our digital platform. So thank you again, and enjoy the weekend. Nice to spend time with you, Bernard.
Thanks so much. It was a pleasure.
You bet.